Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I have the 11th layout here for you with my November stash kit. This is my second to last layout. I only have one more. This one took me about 52 minutes or so to complete, less than an hour, and it went really quickly. And I think it's because, first of all, there's a lot of real estate that's taken up by the photos on this page. And then second of all, I just used a bunch of scraps, so there wasn't a whole lot of really kind of trimming and figuring out. It was more so just layer, 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 than review. And I only really have one large embellishment cluster on this layout, so that also kind of cuts down on the time that's needed to put it together. So first I have 3 4x6 photos, but I am trimming them down a bit. They're 4x6 with the white border, and I cut a lot of that white border off. And also, because I'm layering them together, I made sure that the white border in between the photos was going to be a little bit smaller because it was going to be 2 white borders together. And this is where I'm realizing that that's exactly what's happening. So I'm just going to trim that down a bit more, kind of to make it an even white border all the way around the photos. Now what I like to do once I get everything trimmed down like you just saw is use a bit of washi to tape them together. It just keeps them together as one unit instead of 3 separate photos. And I'm just using some washi tape. I always have a washi tape that's not like my favorite, and I keep it with my scrapbook tools, and I use it for, things just like this, taping things on the back, covering up brads on the back of layouts, everything like that, just a bit of washi tape to have as an embellishment. As a tool instead of as an embellishment. So I have my photos here, and I'm trying to figure out which paper to use it with. I thought about using this arrow, and I'm actually going through a bunch of these Chickanity craft papers. I believe they're from the Date Night collection. And I really thought about this green. I thought that was pretty, but I end up settling, it's from the Date Night collection. So I end up settling on this gray envelope paper. And the envelopes really have nothing to do with this layout. I just like the gray kind of neutral background. Because I knew I was going to layer a lot of these scraps around the side, having the gray background was kind of important because it kept it from being too busy. So here's where I'm just layering, just taking kind of the scraps as they are and layering around. There's no real rhyme or reason other than the fact that I'm trying to spread out the colors a bit. Trying to make sure there's varying colors next to each other. And also trying not to get glue on my background, as you can see. Which actually wouldn't have mattered because I cover up that whole part of my layout anyways. The back of this looks like a Frankenstein paper, but that's not really the point. The point is that you end up with a nice, clean layout at the end that looks completed. I trimmed out a little camera from that, it's like a black camera from a blue paper. I was going to glue it, tape it as a background, as a layer, but it ended up being a perfect little camera right there on that piece, so it just seemed like it needed to be trimmed out, and I will use it on this layout. Also end up layering some of this corrugated paper, and I just washi tape it on the back as well to make sure that it doesn't come apart. Because it's corrugated, it doesn't stick very well with the adhesive, so using some washi tape to adhere it just helps a bit. And then I realized that my layers were getting too far to the top and bottom of my photo clusters and were going to overhang the 12x12 layout. So I just trimmed a bit of that corrugated paper off the bottom. I'm also even layering a piece of this vellum. So I'm going through all my scraps from this kit. I keep all my scraps regardless, so I like to use them up as much as possible if I can. Either way, I'm still going to keep them. I even use that notebook edge of that one piece of paper as well, just to add a bit of interest down to the bottom left of the photos. So what these photos are of, there's none of me, but we do have a family photo of us playing games that night. But these photos, the top photo is of Kalen holding his Uno cards, and he was just so funny. He was just He was kind of getting it. He knew what he was doing. It took him a bit, but he knew what he was doing. And of course, I was sitting next to him helping him. And then the middle photo is of the two boys together. And the very bottom photo is of Ernest sitting there looking at his Uno cards. It is a rare occasion that Ernest actually sits and plays games with us, so I had to get it captured. He hates this photo, but I don't think he likes any photos I put of him in my scrapbook. But that's okay, whatever. So I have this bag, this paper bag, and I think it's 4x6 actually. Excuse me, I believe it is, and it's green and white striped, and I'm just going to use it to kind of tuck my cards in, and then I'm going to embellish on top of it. And this is really just kind of my only embellishment cluster. I'm using these doilies that I cut out from different pieces of paper. There's also a few chic tags doilies. I believe they're called spring flowers or spring doilies, I think is what that one is. That may be totally wrong, but for some reason that's kind of stuck in my head. So I believe that's what that chic tags collection was, but those are also in here. I just keep them all in a Ziploc bag, and I pull them out when I can and use them. And since there really weren't any reds or pinks on this layout, I cut those parts off of these doilies that I pulled out, and I actually just put them back in the bag. I'm just using the greens, the yellows, and the blues. Right, and again, the back of this looks pretty rough, but I'm just going to use a bunch of double-sided tape to adhere this down. It's a pretty heavy layout because there are so many different papers in layers, so I wanted to make sure that it was well stuck down. And I'm going to layer a few little doilies up in the top, paper doilies up in the top left of the layout. And since you're not going to see that bag anyways, I just cut it off and I fold it under. That way it's sealed. Because at this point, I wasn't 100% sure that all I was going to put in there were the cards. That's what ends up being in there. But I had played around with the idea for a second of putting a bit of journaling in there. There's this little camera that I cut out, and it's going to go right there. And then I'm going to put, there was nothing on the top right of this layout, and it was very blank, so I'm going to add just a little overhang of a doily up here, and then I'm going to use a little asterisk from the same sticker sheet that I do my title from, just to bring a bit of that up in the top. Alright, so here are the letters that I'm going to use, and I'm going to flip through this just to make sure that there's nothing else I want. These are all the alphas that I had pulled out with my kit, and what it's going to say is family game night, and then the game is going to be in a little tile alpha, and the family and night are going to be in that black and gray chevron font that N is in right there. I'm just kind of looking, trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do, and I thought about this bright green, but it's just too big. I don't like it. So I'm going to take that off, and then it's actually on the same 12 by 12 sticker sheet that this is, and I thought about putting family, and then I'm thinking, I think I'm missing, I'm missing an L, so I couldn't do that, so this is where it's going to say game. So it's going to say family game night. And let's see, just going to adhere these down. And I didn't have an M, so I have to use two N's and kind of piece them together, but you really can't tell at all. I really don't mind doing that. I actually like making sure I can use up my alphas as much as possible. So if I have to piece together letters, that's completely fine with me. That doesn't bother me at all. I just moved over game to kind of fit on top of night. And I'm putting my little dot to my eyes, and then that is my title. Very simple, and I'm going to use an asterisk at the top, and then I'm just kind of using up a few of the little stickers that are on this sheet as well. And that one says remember this, and it has a little finger pointing up, which kind of points to my title. And then I have those two little asterisks that I'm putting around my layout. This was a very simple layout if you think about it. It looks kind of busy when you look at it, but it was actually pretty simple, a pretty simple design I'm just trying to figure out how to add a bit of journaling, and I'm going to add it right here above my Uno cards, but right below my title. The title looked like it was floating just a bit, even though it's kind of grounded to the left side. It looked like it was floating just a tad, so I'm going to add my journaling right here, and it's a perfect spot for my journaling. So I'm going to use a ticket, and that's from a cut apart sheet, and then also just this bit of green cardstock that I'm gonna use it kind of as an outline for it. And I just kind of traced around where the layers would be on top of it. That way I knew how far I could do my journaling. And I have this little white tag, and there was no reason not to stick it off to the left side, so that's exactly what I did. Now my journaling says, family game nights are always so much fun. We have to convince Ernest, family game nights are always so much fun. We have to convince Ernest to play with us, but the boys love it. So that's all I said. And then I just kind of stick it right back in the same spot. And this layout just needs a few small finishing touches, and then we're going to be done. I'm going to find this flare badge that says "This belongs to," and this is extremely dimensional. The flare badge that I use, it's going to end up going on the outside of the page protector when this goes in my layout or in my album. So that's not going to matter so much, but it's an extremely dimensional flare badge that's going to go. And this tag that I'm fiddling with is not going to stay here at all. But I thought about, it just has a little bit of journaling on it, and I thought about putting it there, but it's going to come off. It's not going to stay there. I'm going to end up putting a gray camera that was cut apart from a Bella Boulevard paper. I'm going to end up putting that on the left side in that corner. I needed to cover up a bit of something after I take that tag off that I used, so a little camera was perfect. And then I just used these Webster Pages tile alphas to put "This belongs to Uno," since that's what we're playing. It's going to go right there. And then I am going to add a little ticket that says "Enjoy the show" right there, kind of layering under the camera that I cut apart, the little teal and black camera. This pretty much finishes my layout. Other than that, I don't really add much. I try a few things, but if you like to see still shots, I will add some photos at the end of this layout. And then also, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up to let me and YouTube know, and also subscribe to my channel. I post 3 times a week typically, so I would love to share the rest of my videos with you as well. So stay tuned. There's more to come very shortly. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. Enjoy your afternoon. Bye.